Stories about superheroes going to jail seem contradictory to the whole concept of superheroics, but one thing's for sure, it makes for one hell of a thrill ride, much more so if it involves those same characters breaking bad and turning their backs away from justice. Well, that's exactly what happened when Plasticman, one of DC's resident malleable crime fighters, ended up at Queens Row Penitentiary. And it's what we're going to talk about today in this video. As always, if you want the hottest pop culture content delivered straight to your screens, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the amazing stuff we here at KRTV Marvel are brewing for you. What makes Plasticman amazing? There are a number of stretchy, rubber-based superhero characters out there, but none of them are as downright entertaining as Plasticman. In fact, you can even say that the character provided inspiration for all the other malleable superheroes created after him. The brainchild of legendary comic book creator Jack Cole, Plaz, as fans endearingly call him, was created in 1941 and made his debut within the pages of Police Comics #1. Since then, he's become a staple character within the DC universe, always providing fans with heart-pumping tales of action with a generous dose of quips. Starting off as a 2-bit crook named Eel O'Brien, a botched burglary and a chemical accident inevitably turned him into the superhero named Plasticman, a superhero with the power to extend and mold every part of his body according to his will. In addition to that, he's pretty much immortal, with the ability to regenerate missing limbs and age slowly like Marvel's Wolverine. Unlike X-Men's scruffy, grumpy berserker though, Plaz doesn't buy into all that grimdark shtick. Sure, he's a master thief and a formidable metahuman, but what makes him such an appealing character not just in the DCU, but within superhero fiction in general, is how he's always able to add a dash of quippy humor whenever he's present on the page or on screen. Think of him as a superhero with the powers of Mr. Fantastic, the detective instincts of the Dark Knight, and the unaging wit of Spider-Man. So, how did Plasticman end up in prison? You'd think that a superhero does their best to avoid jail time, but not Plasticman, guys. Especially not the version that we see from the pages of the miniseries Flashpoint: Legion of Doom, published by DC Comics in 2011 as part of their reality-altering event, Flashpoint. This version of Plaz is far removed from his usual portrayal as a witty, bendy crusader of justice. In this storyline, the same chemicals that gave him his powers also granted him a healthy dose of insanity. As a result, he's become one of the DCEU's craftiest criminals. Even worse, he's in cahoots with Mick Rory, aka Heatwave, one of the nastiest villains in Flash's Rogues Gallery. So what does a deranged, malleable metahuman have to do with one of the DCU's premier pyromaniacs? Like most good revenge stories, it starts off with a prison break. After getting caught by JLA member Cyborg for the murder of Firestorm, Heatwave is sent to Queens Row Penitentiary, a maximum security prison for meta-criminals floating above the Flashpoint version of Gotham City. With a burning desire to get revenge on the man who put him there, Heatwave enlists the help of his old friend and partner in crime, Plasticman. And this is where things get weird. To break into the prison, Plaz literally reshapes himself and enters the body of another supercriminal, Taskmaster. Once the guy was sent to Queens Row, Plasticman busted out of his body, shedding him off like a bloody, worn-out husk. Afterwards, Heatwave and Plaz draft some of the other inmates by forcing them to help with their escape. Plasticman even gets to show how lethal he can be when he transforms himself into a barbed wire cage that gradually shrinks, trapping and ending anyone caught within him, as a form of enhanced negotiation. But what really shows Plasticman's putty-like prowess is when he easily takes down Amazo, the superpowered cyborg that serves as Queen Row's head jailer, by molding his hand into a shiv and piercing his opponent right in the eye. The battle ended the moment it began. With no one to stop them anymore, Heatwave, Plaz, and the other inmates make their way to the prison's evidence room to get their weapons and suits back. Once they do, Heatwave reveals his original plan all along. He just doesn't want to snuff out Cyborg. He wants to crash the floating prison right into Detroit to end thousands of civilian lives, all to make Cyborg suffer. This is where we see the core of Plasticman as a character in the DCEU, regardless of alternate versions of himself or Elseworlds gimmicks. Even though he's a bad guy in this reality, Plaz ultimately has a change of heart when he hears about Heatwave's plan. He tells him that it's one thing to get revenge and another to take the lives of innocent civilians, and this is where he draws the line. So, Plasticman and his old friend get into a fight. Heatwave first sicks a bunch of D-list villains against Plaz, which he disposes of almost instantly. But then, he finds out those henchmen were just meant as a distraction so that Heatwave can point the prison's controls right at the city center. They finally get into a scuffle, and Heatwave dispatches Plasticman by melting him with his trademark hot rods, flame-throwing pistols he custom built. With Plaz seemingly dead, Heatwave proceeds with his plan. There's destruction and chaos everywhere, but Cyborg gets the better of him in the end, putting a stop to his vengeful, pyromaniacal rampage. Heatwave gets sent to Belle Reve Penitentiary, arguably the DCU's tightest prison for meta-criminals. He thinks he's won against Cyborg in spite of the fact that he got caught in the end, since he managed to cause a lot of damage to the city, so he sits in his cell with smug satisfaction. Hey, remember when we mentioned Plasticman can regenerate his body, which basically makes him invincible? Well, Heatwave's in for a surprise as a new inmate enters his cell. The new guy starts talking to him, telling him that he's mad at you. Heatwave thinks nothing of it, believing it's a message from Cyborg. That is until his cellmate starts convulsing and a figure bursts out of his mouth. A man in red spandex, the power to shapeshift at will, and a score to settle with an old friend. What do you think of this version of Plasticman? If you want us to cover more about DC's stretchiest trickster or have any pop culture topics you want us to cover, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and let us know what you want to see in the comments section below. See you guys next time.